The birth of code, how invisible rules took over reality. The most powerful thing on earth has no weight. It has no shape, no color, no physical form. You cannot touch it. You cannot smell it. You cannot hold it in your hands. Yet it decides what you can do, where you can go, what you can access, and what is taken away from you. It decides if your money moves or stops. It decides if your message is delivered or silenced. It decides if your identity is accepted or rejected. That force is code. Not laws, not armies, not borders, not politicians, code. Right now, as you are watching this, millions of invisible instructions are being executed across the planet. Servers buried underground are humming. Satellites are relaying signals. Fiber optic cables beneath the ocean are flashing with data. Decisions are being made at machine speed, without emotion, without mercy, without explanation. Most people believe they live in a physical world. They believe reality is made of buildings, streets, paper money, and human authority. They are wrong. Modern reality is governed by a digital rule system, and almost no one voted for it. This system decides outcomes before humans are even aware a decision has been made. Code is not magic. Code is not intelligence. Code is not alive. Code is simply rules written so machines obey them perfectly. If a condition is met, an outcome is executed. No hesitation, no forgiveness, no interpretation. Humans negotiate rules. Humans bend rules. Humans break rules. Machines do not. Machines execute. And that single difference is why code quietly became more powerful than law. Laws require belief. Laws require enforcement. Laws can be ignored. Code requires nothing. It simply runs. The early days, long before social media, before smartphones, before the internet as we know it, code existed only in laboratories. It calculated missile trajectories. It processed census data. It ran boring, isolated tasks. It was invisible and harmless. Then we connected it. Networks formed. Information began traveling faster than any human could react. And slowly, without announcements or permission, code entered every system that mattered. Banks replaced paper ledgers with databases. Airports replaced human judgment with automated security systems. Hospitals replaced handwritten charts with digital records. Governments replaced filing cabinets with centralized servers. Every critical system became software. And when software enforces the rules of society, power changes hands. Early digital systems shared one fatal design choice: centralization. One database, one server, one owner. Centralization brought speed and efficiency, but it also created something far more dangerous: control. Whoever controlled the server controlled the rules. They could change balances, rewrite records, freeze accounts, delete identities, deny access, all silently, all instantly, all invisibly. You would never see the hand that moved the pieces. You would only feel the consequences. Trust became mandatory. You were told to trust banks, trust governments, trust platforms, trust institutions. And for a while it worked, until it didn't. Financial crises erased savings overnight. Accounts were frozen without explanation. Platforms censored voices with a single update. Entire populations discovered that access could disappear with a line of code. The unsolved problem. This revealed the unsolved problem at the heart of the digital age. How do you create digital rules without trusting the people who run them? How do you prevent cheating when everything is just information? How do you stop manipulation when the system itself is invisible? For decades, the answer was simple: you can't. Until someone asked a different question: what if the code did not live in one place? What if no one owned it? What if everyone could verify it? What if rules were enforced not by institutions, but by mathematics? What if trust could be removed entirely? That question led to an idea so dangerous it was ignored, so radical it was mocked, so powerful it changed everything. Decentralized digital code. Code that does not ask permission. Code that does not have a master. Code that cannot be secretly changed. Code that runs exactly as written, for everyone, forever. This was not just a technical breakthrough. It was a philosophical one. For the first time in human history, rules could exist without rulers. Systems could operate without owners. Power could be distributed instead of concentrated. This was the moment control began to fracture. And from this moment forward, nothing would be the same. The philosophy of control. To understand why decentralized digital code matters, you must first understand control. Control is not violence. Control is not shouting orders. True control is invisible. The most effective systems of control are the ones you never notice. When a system works perfectly, you stop questioning it. When access is instant, you assume it is permanent. When rules are enforced quietly, you assume they are fair. This is how centralized code gained power. It did not arrive as a threat. It arrived as convenience. Credit cards were easier than cash. Online banking was easier than branches. Digital IDs were easier than paperwork. Cloud services were easier than ownership. Each step removed friction. Each step removed responsibility. Each step removed autonomy. And each step placed more power into fewer hands. Centralized code became the silent governor of modern life. It decided which transactions were suspicious. It decided which speech was acceptable. It decided which behaviors were allowed. Not through debate, not through law, but through automated enforcement. Once enforcement is automated, resistance becomes almost impossible. You cannot argue with a server. You cannot appeal to an algorithm. You cannot reason with a database. This is why decentralization is not a technology. It is a rebellion against invisible authority, a rebellion against unchallengeable rules, a rebellion against systems that demand trust without accountability. Decentralized digital code flips the structure. Instead of one authority enforcing rules, the network enforces them together. Instead of secrecy, there is transparency. Instead of permission, there is verification. Instead of trust, there is proof. This changes human behavior at a fundamental level. When rules are visible, corruption becomes harder. When systems are open, manipulation becomes obvious. When power is distributed, abuse becomes expensive. This is why decentralized systems grow slowly. They are harder to control, harder to monetize, harder to dominate, but they are also harder to destroy. History shows us a pattern. Every centralized system promises stability. Every centralized system eventually abuses power. Decentralization is humanity's response to that cycle. Not perfect, not easy, but necessary. And this is only the beginning. We have not yet talked about money. We have not yet talked about identity. We have not yet talked about artificial intelligence. We have not yet talked about what happens when code begins to make decisions faster than human thought. This documentary is not about technology. It is about the future of human freedom and the rules that will decide it. History, power, and real cases. To understand why this matters, we need to step back into history. Every era has a control system. Kings ruled with crowns. Empires ruled with armies. Religions ruled with belief. The modern world rules with systems, and systems run on code. When banking first became digital in the 1970s, it was celebrated as progress. Computers reduced errors. Transactions became faster. Global trade exploded. But something subtle happened. Money stopped being something you held. It became something you were allowed to access. Your wealth existed as entries in a database, and whoever controlled that database controlled reality. In 2008, this invisible power became visible. Banks collapsed. Millions lost homes. Savings disappeared. Not because cash vanished, but because numbers were changed. Governments printed trillions with keystrokes. Those closest to the system were saved. Those farthest paid the price. This was not a failure of people. It was a failure of centralized code. A system where rules could be rewritten under pressure. A system where transparency disappeared when it mattered most. After 2008, trust was broken. People asked questions they were never supposed to ask. Who controls the ledger? Who decides the rules? Who benefits when systems break? Around the same time, another realization spread. Speech had become digital. Platforms replaced town squares. Algorithms replaced editors. Visibility became programmable. A small change in code could silence millions, not through force but through updates. Accounts vanished. Voices disappeared. Histories were rewritten quietly. Again, not by law, but by code. These moments revealed the same truth. Centralized systems work until they don't. And when they fail, you have no exit, no appeal, no alternative. This is where decentralized digital code enters history, not as theory, not as speculation, not as wishful thinking, but as a resilient, unchangeable, transparent system of rules. It is not perfect. It is not easy. It is necessary. If this episode changed how you see the world, like this video. Subscribe for the next episode. Comment what shocked you the most. Share this with someone who still believes power is physical. Check the description below. The next episodes go deeper into how decentralization challenges money, governments, and reality itself. Once you understand the code, you stop seeing the world as solid. You begin to see the rules beneath it.